Yeah.
And history is one of the few subjects that gives us information about the past.
Yeah.
And it's one of the few subjects at school that teaches you to analyze what has happened in the past and try and draw conclusions or to build arguments.
Yeah.
So history as a subject teaches you, in a sense, to read. It teaches you to see cause and effect and to write about it and to draw conclusions from it. And I think it's an absolutely key requirement for anyone going into the business world, let alone anyone wanting to be an actuary. And sadly, I think it's not taken by many students at school, certainly not to matric level. And I also think it's not taught ideally at school. It's taught almost by rote that you've got to learn facts and figures and dates rather than understanding that it's a story.
Yeah.
And it's a story of how we got to where we are now.
Yeah. And what that means going forward.
Absolutely. If you want to know where we're going to go to, you need to know how we've come to where we are today. And history is the only subject that tells you that.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when you said it in first year, I had taken history at school and I was like, yes, have an advantage. I don't know if I did have any form of advantage, because then you also said, did you play chess or are you musical? And I was like, oh no, I'm not neither of those things. So at least I had history going for me. But I think that sort of rounds up the questions I would like to ask you. But I just want to sort of open the floor and say, is there anything else you would like to add to the conversation, like as an encouragement to students who are listening to this and considering actuarial science, or sort of any sort of broader comment?
Yeah, so thanks, Margie. So I think that if you are numerate and good at mathematics, and if you're interested in the business world, and if you're interested in problems, and if you're curious, and if you want a career that is globally recognized and will give you enormous opportunity, and if you want a career that very few people can do because it does require a certain skill set, so there's a rarity factor. Actuarial science gives you many more opportunities than comparable degrees that you could do at university, because it allows you to play in many spaces and it makes you sought after globally by both industry and governments because of the skills that you to bring to play. But it's got to be something that tickles your fancy. It's got to be something that interests you. You can't choose to do it just because it has a great future. You've got to have the right attributes, that it's got to be right for you. As I tell people, you're going to be doing what you study, or you're going to have a career for maybe 40 years, maybe 45 years. Now you're not going to be doing the same thing. Actuarial science allows you to have a career. The early part of your job or of your career, you'll probably be doing a job that's very technical. Then you'll be managing people. Then you might be managing businesses. Then you might be creating and starting businesses. And it gives you that full ability to evolve over time. Not all other technical jobs do that. So, for example, if you were a specialist heart surgeon, you do a lot of studying for many years, you become highly skilled at what you do. But then you're probably going to be a heart surgeon for the next 35 years. And your job will be pretty much the same. Yes, there'll be new techniques that come in, but what you will do will be pretty much the same. And the same applies to a lot of engineers and a lot of other highly skilled individuals. Whereas the actuarial profession lends itself, because of the business component and the fact that the skills are applicable to running businesses, to evolve from being the technical specialist to the manager of a business to the creator of a business. And that is very powerful.
Thank you. That was really insightful. And thank you so much for being on the podcast.
It's a pleasure.
Nice
to see you again.
And I hope they'll see more of you. But to our listeners, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a review on your preferred streaming platform. If you'd like to interact with us more or add questions or topics to our pool of ideas, please follow our Instagram page at AsForActuary or email us on asforactuary@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Take care.